Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Daily Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. Today, we're going to go over some live mortgage rates. Then, we're going to talk about 1099 loans. Give us just a minute here to go live on all the different platforms. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in nice and early. And we'll get started here in just a moment. We got the chat up on the screen there. Feel free to drop a comment there in the chat as you tune in. Feel free to drop any questions you have in the chat as we go through our deep dive into 1099 loans today. All right, looks like we're live on all the different platforms, so we'll go ahead and get started. We'll take the chat off the screen for now, but keep dropping comments there in the chat. Drop any questions you have in the chat, but let's go ahead and get into it. So welcome everyone. My name is Kyle Hershey. I'm the COO of the Mortgage Calculator, joined here by our president, Nick Hershey, and our sales manager, Jose Gonzalez. We are a lender specializing in non-QM loans. And what we do every morning on this show at 11 a.m. Eastern is go through our live mortgage rates, and then we do a deep dive into a different topic, a different loan type, I guess I should say. And today's loan type is going to be 1099 loans now because we specialize in non-QM loans, something we're very familiar with. So Jose will take us into a deep dive into that. But first, let's go ahead and do what we do every morning, which is pull up the live rates and see what it's looking like. So Nick, if you're ready, let's go ahead and check it out.
All right. So even though the news wasn't so great yesterday, the rates did come down, so the markets did improve. So we have some improvement today. We will show all the rates on one page as we do usually in the last few weeks here. So let me preface that with this will show us the rates for today. It is the 2nd of May here, and it is just after 11 a.m. So all of our standard programs are live. We're going to show the lowest rates we can offer for a standard $400,000 loan on a $500,000 purchase. That's 80% loan to value, common loan to value, 760 FICO, same FICO we always use for all of our demos, and 40% debt to income ratio for all our demos here. And then for the DSCR demos, we also use a DSCR ratio of 1.5. So that's how we set up all of these options. If you'd like to have a full loan estimate that breaks down all of the itemized fees that go into the APR, please get with our team members. But let's go ahead and share my screen and see what we're looking like today. So first option for most customers, 30-year fixed conventional primary home coming in today at 6.99 rate, about the same as yesterday. Final APR 7.303, just a touch lower than yesterday there for our customers that qualify for standard conventional. Now, if for any reason our customers do not qualify for a standard conventional loan, typically the next option most customers want to look at is an FHA option. So 30-year fixed FHA does allow more leniency on credit issues and a higher debt to income ratio. But we'll just compare apples to apples here as this is the same exact scenario. So FHA today comes in with rates as low as 6%, and the final APR comes in at 6.995 when you add in the upfront and yearly mortgage insurance that is required for FHA. So when you compare these side by side, if a customer qualifies for both, today actually FHA might be a touch cheaper, so definitely look at both. And our customers that need to use this FHA program because of the leniency, very good option here. APR is actually comparable and even cheaper in some options here, the conventional. Now, if our customers qualify for VA, this next option, 30-year fixed VA, is a standard VA option. That's only for our eligible vets and active service members with that certificate of eligibility. But for those that have served and have earned that, these are great rates here. 6.25 rate, a little misleading though, because the APR is actually the lowest on the page here. APR comes in at 6.581 because VA doesn't have the upfront and yearly mortgage insurance that's required for FHA. So great option for our veterans. Notice it is the best APR here on the page. So definitely recommend, if you're eligible, always take advantage. Next option here is our USDA option, which again is only for eligible properties. So if you're looking at a property in a USDA eligible area and you qualify for a USDA program, these are great programs that benefit our customers that are looking in rural areas. So USDA is a little bit better option here. Rates as low as 6.25, but notice the APR comes in at 6.979, so just a touch lower than FHA. So our customers that are comparing FHA to USDA, typically USDA may be preferable if it does qualify. Now let's get into the stuff that we're talking about today. So here at the Mortgage Calculator, we have over 5,000 additional options if our customers don't qualify for the standard agency and government programs you see here. So our first option here under our non-QM is our 30-year fixed non-QM alt doc for a primary. So alt doc is the general category there where we're going to use alternative documentation, typically bank statements or today's topic, 1099s. So the lowest rate option we have here is rates as low as 7.25 rate, final APR 7.589. So typically we would compare this to conventional and notice it's just a touch higher. Typically, it's about a half a point higher, and actually today it's well within a half a point here when you compare these side by side. So our customers that need to use that alternative documentation, those bank statements or 1099s, great options here at the Mortgage Calculator for non-QM. And now we'll switch over to investment properties. So a 30-year fixed non-QM bank statement or other alt doc option for an investment property. We have rates as low as 7.625, and the APR comes in at 7.976. So remember, this is investment, so let's compare that to our other investment options. So next up, 30-year fixed conventional. So using conventional Fannie or Freddie programs, we can get rates as low as 7.5 today, and the final APR at 7.855. So notice if you compare this to the alt doc, a little bit cheaper for conventional. So our investors that are looking at conventional, definitely compare that to the alt doc options. But I always recommend our investors check out our favorite loan option and our most popular loan option, which is our DSCR option. It's only for investment properties, and it doesn't require any income or employment. We just use the estimated rents to determine a DSCR value. For this demo here, we use an estimated value of 1.5, meaning the estimated rents can cover the expenses by at least a ratio of 1.5, aka the property cash flows strongly. So in this option is our most common option, our 3-year prepayment penalty. Prepayment penalties are standard on these DSCR loans. So this is the most common option. We have rates as low as 7.375, and the final APR comes in at 7.702. Notice it is beating conventional. Absolutely amazing when a DSCR, no employment, no income, no documentation on those items, loan comes in at cheaper than conventional. So this is one of our favorite options. And to make it even sweeter, we have our 5-year prepayment option. So for our investors a little more aggressive out there that would like a 5-year prepayment, we can make it even better. Rates as low as 7%. Final APR comes in at 7.329. Absolutely smoking the conventional options. And these rates are all lower than they were yesterday. We love when the rates drop. And finally, another comparison here, our DSCR option with no prepayment. Less common, but some investors don't want to prepay. No problem. We have options. Rates come in at 7.875, which is again lower than yesterday's show. It's pretty cool. And final APR at 8.244. So notice when you compare this to conventional, it's actually a little bit more expensive with no prepay. Definitely recommend our investors add a prepayment penalty to take advantage of one of these options here that are very well priced. And finally here, another non-QM product that's very popular these days are fixed rate second mortgages. So 30-year fixed second mortgage for a primary home. So for those that don't want to touch their first mortgage, maybe it's a very low rate mortgage, most people's are, and they still need some cash out, no problem. We can use our 30-year fixed option, not a HELOC, 30-year fixed. Rates as low as 8.875, lower than yesterday too, awesome. And final APR at 9.319. And to use that same program, 30-year fixed for an investment property, very popular request these days. For our investors out there, rates come in as low as 9.875, much lower than yesterday. Final APR 10.310. So great options here, all kinds of different non-QM options. But let's go into our deep dive topic for today, which is specifically our 1099 options. So when we do our live pricing, we don't always get to go into the specifics because these programs are unique. It takes a little bit of a preface here. So Jose is going to explain a little bit about the setup because 1099 is a very specific subset. When we always do the live demo, we do a general category, right? So Jose is going to go into a specific application of the 1099 programs that we have available. We just don't get to do those live. So Jose, if you're ready, let's check out these options.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Daily Mortgage Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. 1099 is an amazing product. Did you all know that 1099 allows up to 90% of the 1099 income to be used as net income? That's amazing because we don't have any bank statement options that go as low as a 10% expense ratio. So, and I would also say that 1099 is probably an underutilized program, specifically because a lot of people don't really understand how it works, but it's very basic. You get the face amount of the 1099, take away 10%, and that's your income, right? Pretty cut and dry. They have to be receiving 1099. Now, obviously, self employed borrowers only. Now, again, not all 1099 guidelines are the same. There are a lot of different variations. Some require the borrower to be receiving the 1099 from just one source. Others allow multiple 1099s from different sources. So you do have to read into the guidelines, but I would say 1099 is should be looked at as the first option if the borrower actually receives a 1099. I see many times borrowers with 1099s, and the only option that's being explored is the bank statement option, which is a great option. But remember, the 1099 goes up to 90% of the amount of the 1099. In other words, it has only a 10% expense ratio factor built in. So let's get right into the amazing options we have here for 1099s. I got some good primary options and some good investment property options as well. Let me make this a little bigger for you all. Okay. So our first option here is our primary purchase with 10% down. As is always the case on all non-QM loans, never any mortgage insurance applicable at any loan to value. So in this case, even though we're at a 90% loan to value, mortgage insurance is not applicable. So you do have to note that it's basically built into the rate. On non-QM loans, the lower LTVs have lower interest rates. It's also risk-based. So here, our lowest cost option is 10%, and we can buy that down all the way to 9.25%. And I always like to state at this point that as far as the lowest rate option, there are lower rate options. This is just the lowest rate option that we could get a compliant rate on our points and fees test without taking into consideration any seller contribution to the buyer closing costs. If you do have seller contribution to the buyer closing costs, you would set it up on your 2015 itemization, marking the amount of the loan discount that's being paid by the seller, and then the compliance test will not consider the seller paid costs into the calculations, which means basically we would be able to offer lower rate if we knew we were getting seller contribution. So now I always like to add a little context. So here with 15% down instead of 10% down, because 10% is the minimum down payment, maximum LTV is 90. So now here we are at a little bit lower than the maximum. We're at 85%. And you do see that the rate does drop substantially. 8.875% is our lowest cost option. 8.125% is our lowest rate option. Quite a big difference from 9.25 being lowest rate option with 10% down, 8.125 being lowest rate option with 15% down at the same 2.5% cost. So our investment purchase options here, the maximum LTV is 85%. So the minimum down payment is 15%, 1.5 for a 1099 investment purchase. This is with a 3-year prepayment penalty on this one. So you're looking at 8.999 as our lowest cost option, and you can buy that down all the way to 8.125 as our lowest rate option. And basically that's because it's 85% LTV and you have that prepayment penalty being added on there. That's why you basically have the same rates as primary. A little bit different in the cost here, right? 8.125 costs 2.5 points On primary, 8.125 costs 3.375 points on investment, but still 85% LTV. That's the power of the prepayment penalty bringing down the cost. And then 20% down. Now, that is our more standard loan to value for this product for investment. And look at those rates. Pretty amazing now, right? 8.625 is at par. And you can buy that down all the way to 7.125%. And yes, this is for an investment property, 80% loan to value purchase using 1099s. That's better rates than what we were getting in conventional. And now for some cash out options here, our primary cash out at the maximum LTV of 85%. And 9.875 is our lowest cost option. 9.125 is our lowest rate option. My last two examples here are going to be investment property cash outs. Our first option here, now 80% also, is the maximum LTV for an investment property cash out refinance using 1099s. So this 3-year prepayment penalty option has some great rates. 9.125 is our lowest cost option, almost at par, costing only 0.125 of a point. And you can buy that down all the way to 7.75%. Now, again, this is our 3-year prepayment option. And I wanted, again, talking about the power of the prepay. Same product, 5-year prepayment. So now we are at 8.875, costing 0.375, and we can buy that down all the way to 7.499 at a cost of 3.375 points. So some amazing options here for 1099s. So if you have any, for example, realtors all get 1099. So if you do have any realtors reaching out to you for either a purchase or cash out, always look first to the 1099 option before you explore the bank statement option.
All right. I do not see any questions. It's a great program to have here. Just like yesterday, right? These are solutions for self employed borrowers, alternative solutions to bank statement programs, all that kind of good stuff. Well, no questions. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Remember, we do this at 11 a.m. Eastern every weekday where we go through the live rates and then do a deep dive into a different loan type. We'll have a new loan type for you tomorrow to go through. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, for the next episode of Daily Rates Live with the Mortgage Calculator. Have a great day.